Reset. Sperdunky and Friends, indie game devs podcast / live show. We're changing the format a little bit. Today we're live on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. So we usually talk to indie game developers. Today's bonus host is Yesful Man / Tori. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Tori, who doesn't have a camera today.
Yeah, my camera's disconnected, I apologize. And it is me, the guy who talked about coral partly last time I was here, and a little bit of something.
Yeah, you were in
Yes.
episode number 1 with
Number
Nate.
1 by a technicality.
And we will be joined by Cybernetic Druid, who is my oldest brother. And then also we might have a guest today, Andre Gnu. I think I'm saying his name right. He's creating this game called On Your Own, and it kind of has a similar play style to like Far Cry, but it takes place in like a zombie post-apocalyptic world. So I'm hoping he shows up, but if not, no big deal. I know originally I had scheduled to do an episode with him last Tuesday, but things didn't work out. And that was my fault. But I'm going to turn off this top panel for now.
I can't tell. Is your stream quiet?
It might be. Andrew Bayless, who, by the way, is full disclosure, one of my other older brothers. He's in the comment section, and he said, "Ooh, zombies." Could you let us know like how we sound right now? Are we quiet? Like too quiet?
Yeah.
The thing is, I have yours. Well, I have the Discord chat in general turned up really loud, like all the way. So.
Okay, so I could even be potentially louder, and I'm on my quiet mic. I could switch to my better one.
Okay, let's see what he says real quick. I know it's not great to test this like live, but
yeah. I was just listening, and it seems like it's quiet, but
okay. He says you are a little quieter than me, but so let me just see from my end if I could just turn you up a little bit.
I can switch to my better. I should probably do it anyway.
Well, the thing is, to me, you sound really loud.
Oh, okay.
So, oh yeah, I have you turned up all the way too. So,
I'm just on my wireless headset.
Yeah. So, Andy, do you think it'd be better if I turned myself down and then? I don't know. I don't want it to be too quiet though.
Maybe it's my audio?
I don't think so. I think maybe my computer's just being annoying. Because I literally have the Discord turned up all the way. So you should be loud because you're loud to me. I have you at 100% though. So I guess if I turn you down to like what I would normally have.
I feel like your stream's kind of quiet, but it's like tolerably quiet.
Tolerably?
Maybe I'm crazy. Yeah, when I'm comparing it to other videos and stuff, it's on the quiet side, but like I could listen to it. But
okay, let's see. I made myself slightly quieter, and then I honestly don't know what I could do to make the Discord louder.
I don't know either. I mean, is it just why can I not see the? There we go. Whatever. I don't know. Okay. Push the gain up on YouTube, you know.
All right. Well, you know what they say. What were we talking about before I started? We were talking about.
I don't remember.
We were talking about how I didn't want to talk about AI.
Oh yeah. And I was wondering the talking points, but we may have talking points.
I wanted to talk about. I mean, I was hoping Andre would show up so we could kind of look at his game, and then talk about some game design stuff, and touch on level design because he is working on a single player game, and he doesn't want to make multiplayer games. But then me and you are working on a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of get into like the differences of designing levels for multiplayer versus like single player experiences. And so me and you could talk about um, multiplayer. So, and another thing is this channel in general is supposed to be focused towards people who are just getting started and maybe don't know like all the terms of game development.
Okay.
But I
To be
also
fair, we also probably don't know all the
yeah, that's the thing too, is like we're just getting started kind of too.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of
We took
why
the self-taught non-linear approach, so who knows what
exactly.
we know and don't know.
Yeah, so before we get into that, I know you introduced your name, but do you want to kind of introduce what you're working on and your kind of goals as a game developer? Yeah, what are you not working on?
You know, actually, ironically, um, so yeah, I'm doing obviously our projects over at Coral Wave. Also working on Coral, no relation. um, and yeah, other things are just various technical projects, mostly revolving around those two projects. But I do help out some people here and there when they need it, whatever. Um, yeah, I would say I tend to fit somewhere in the leadership sphere and technical artist sphere of things. It's kind of hard to completely label me as one or the other because you tend to wear a lot of hats when you're working in small team space. But you would definitely put me in the management and technical art space as a whole. In Coral Wave, I'm officially playing the technical art and you know, I wouldn't say CEO, but co-owner. Not
Yeah,
really a
I mean
well,
you and Nate
okay.
would be
Yeah,
co-owners,
yeah.
co-founders, however you want to say it,
Co-founder, co-owner, both.
of
Both.
Coral Wave.
Yep.
And so
Nate would be the founder of Coral, if we're counting the legacy of Supernova and stuff like that. If we're counting that as all the same project, then he'd be the founder of that project. But we're both co-owning that as well.
yeah, and for anyone who
I
hasn't
manage
seen the first episode, do you want to just quickly, briefly state what the
so
difference between Coral and Coral Wave is?
So Coral is a Halo fan project where a lot of us met and worked together initially. And so that's kind of where we led to, hey, we've been working on this for a while. We've learned a lot. Let's start to do our own business that's not related to Halo so we can actually make money on some of the stuff we're doing. And also do some other ideas that we have. And so we started migrating to Coral Wave because we don't have a big imagination with names, I guess. um, So yeah, Coral Wave, and then that's the business where we're working on our projects, like Battle Balls, where we're planning to do some more announcements for that hopefully soon-ish. Um, and there's no real like direct connection between them. We are planning any systems we build here. We are planning to potentially license to them, but to Coral, but we don't have any like. Coral doesn't plan to make any money because it's a fan project, and we don't really want to get into any legal hot water, so we're not planning to sell or make money or anything like that, or sell anything to it or whatever. That's just going to be the free fan project thing, and Coral Wave's the actual place where we have a business going. Yeah.
Yeah, I think um, there's some interesting stuff we're doing with Coral, a Halo fan game. Um, as far as how it differs from traditional Halos, and also calls back to traditional Halos.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
what do you think are like the biggest game design differences between designing a multiplayer experience versus a single player experience, even if it's in the same genre. So in this case,
So
first person shooter.
for um, the big thing is there's two big things. There's obviously a lot of other things to it too, but the two main problems you run into, although I would say in this day and age it may even be three, depending on how you're building your multiplayer game. Um,
Or it might even be
it's going to
four.
be, I think it might even be four. It would be networking. So getting that to work and be consistent, because you have to, because there's going to always be some level of delay, right? There's not going to be, as much as Google wanted to be a thing with Stadia, there's no such thing as negative latency or instantaneous like networking or anything like that. Somebody who's just a few feet from you, there will always be a little bit of latency. Your system has to process the data, send that data over to something that is either another machine that's playing the game or it's a server, and then that whole thing gets complicated. There's always going to be some level of delay. So the idea is to minimize that as much as possible. And also, some things just don't natively work over networks, like certain elements of physics. So you have to fake a lot of things to make it work over network. And that's like a huge wall that you run into initially. And there's obviously ways around it. Games have been doing it for a long time. Um, and yeah. The other problem is balancing. For a single player experience, it's okay if the player maybe has some OP things, or some of the enemies you're fighting are a little bit too easy or too hard to kill. You have a little more leniency for the experience. As long as the experience feels cohesive, you're okay. Where for multiplayer, you want your players to feel like they're on level playing field, on a level playing field. So you need to have the levels feel like the levels match that, the weapons match that. If you're doing anything in say like a hero-esque kind of experience, you have to make sure that like all of them balance with each other. So like if you're looking at something like League of Legends, Overwatch, you have to make sure that everything there's like not one OP character, which if you've ever followed Overwatch, that happens a lot. And it seems like in League of Legends, from at least from what my friends were saying who played a lot, they were saying that like yeah, when a new hero comes out, he's like OP, and then they scale him and fix the problems. So, which might just be a strategy internally from what it sounds like, but that's a big, uh, that would be the other big thing. The third-ish thing would just depend on the scope of the multiplayer game. Is figuring out how to do any of the extra marketing. Like, say, if you want to do like a live service experience, um, there are games that try to do that for single-player games, but it almost always fails because nobody wants a live service single-player game. But when you're doing multiplayer, it's borderline expected at this point, so you might want to have some live service elements in your game. If you don't have it, it might be popular for a while, and then it's going to probably go down, and then because short attention span type of issues. um, so that's another element that you have to kind of keep track of. But there's a lot of blueprints to follow too. So there's a lot of examples for that of how you might want to lay out your live service. But the problem with that is more maintaining it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something that we've been talking a lot about how we're going to do that for our project. We don't
Yeah.
have everything solidified yet, but there's not much we can go into just yet anyway on that. But that's something that is definitely needs to be in the scope of any multiplayer project. Is that
Yeah,
which
I
you don't
think
have to worry about that at all for single player. Just maybe a few expansions and call it a day. The idea is to get as many initial sales as possible, and then yeah,
yeah, I think live service is kind of an interesting thing because it tends to like almost put like a sour taste in your mouth when you hear it. But
yeah,
any multiplayer game that comes out now, you expect it to have some sort of live service element.
yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
before is like, if you look back at like Halo Reach or Call of Duty, you already had so much that you could like unlock and do, or like
exactly,
the prestige system.
yeah,
And I feel like a combination would almost be better. Like you already have so much in the game to unlock, and then if you expect the game to keep going on and on, that there should be some elements that are live servicey.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's all about that balancing act. Very few games I think can do it, they either don't have enough content or the content feels very anti-consumer, and like you're just like, why am I wasting my money and time on this? Um, the other problem too is when you start to have things like quests, they tend to just kind of ruin some of the game experience, like in Halo Infinite, for example. I think it was like this for COD as well, where it's just like, get X amount of kills with a specific weapon, and it's like, now he's got a bunch of people running around with a specific weapon, and it kind of gets annoying.
Yeah.
Or, oh, do a bunch of melee things, and now everybody's just bum rushing you, which isn't entirely improbable in Halo, but still, it's just like, all of a sudden everybody's playing completely differently because, they put this weird arbitrary whatever.
Um, yeah, I haven't played Overwatch 2 at all. I don't know if you have, so maybe you have more to say on this,
I,
but I heard there
I
was like
have,
$20 skins and stuff, like right away.
yeah. It went from their loot box system, which was like the only loot box system that was kind of semi-praised, to like um to this weird version of a game not Game Pass. I keep saying that. Oh my
Battle
gosh,
Pass?
Battle Pass. um, to that uh it's like it was either like you had to pay a lot or play a lot, and it wasn't like it wasn't like a reasonable lot. It was basically either it was like a gotcha game. It was like you're either no lifing this or you're investing. And even if you did no life it, you still weren't guaranteed to get something you wanted. Um, so it was just, I mean, I haven't seen how they've done any updates, but it was just like, yeah, you'd have to buy everything, and they kind of somewhat like helped the people who bought the game originally, because you got the legacy credits, but it was still just like, I don't know. That was one of those games that for me initially filled that gap that was left by like Halo, and so it was really fun having that community type of game again. And it just slowly got worse and worse. And then Overwatch 2 just was like, oh man, it was like it's like that hope was still kind of there, but then it just wasn't. And I don't know. Um, the Battle Pass, it's just yeah, I don't know. It wasn't great.
Do you think
Um,
there's a
oh, the
oh, what
other
are you gonna
problem.
say?
Sorry.
No, go
The
ahead.
other big issue I had with it was if you weren't like if you didn't own Overwatch 1 basically, and then when they released Overwatch 2, you had to unlock characters. And for a game that's so team centric and about team compositions, all of a sudden if you bring your friend in because they, hey, new update to Overwatch, let's play it, right? They have to take all this time to unlock these characters to synergize with you, which already the synergies are like kind of lacking now because they've made the characters feel a lot more solo, so there's a lot less like teams. I can go into a whole rant. I've kind of broken apart my core issues with Overwatch, so I'm gonna kind of stop there. Maybe we can have like an Overwatch rant at some point, and I'd have to see if they fix anything because I haven't played the game in a while. But last time I played, I was like looking at Overwatch 1 and looking at Overwatch 2. I kind of realized some of the core issues, and there's some more things just past team stuff. But there's a lot more blaming your team in that game than even other games, and I think I know what the cause of it is.
Well,
But
that's
again,
something
that's a
we can
whole
get
thing.
into. What's the
Yeah,
cause of
that's a
it,
whole.
and
Oh,
how does
you
that
want me to get
compare
into it?
to
Okay, so you're
multiplayer
okay with it
design?
going for this full rant?
Yeah, this is something I think about all the time. It's like
Okay, okay.
I want to
So,
promote teamwork in a game, but I
okay.
don't want to force like certain like
All right.
roles. So, what is a
All
good
right.
way to
All right.
promote
Hang on. I got. If we're gonna
teamwork?
do this, I
Let's do
have to
this.
pull up. I have to pull up Overwatch. I might have to do an update, but I have to pull it up. I don't think I've uninstalled it as much as I should have.
Because like
um.
one thing is like there's got to be a way where you join a game for the first time
Yeah.
and the game naturally promotes you to work with your teammates.
Yes. So I want to talk about because. Okay. Well, my thing's gonna go through a bunch of updates. So I'll put it down to two things that I've noticed. Now, granted, I'll also be upfront too. I never made it to like Grandmaster. I don't even know if I made it to Diamond or whatever. I think my highest was like in the early stages. I think I made it
Wow,
maybe
dude, you never made it to
Gold.
Grandmaster.
Did I make it to Plat in the early? I know it was kind of close to it. I don't know if I ever made it to Plat in the early days of Overwatch 1. But I was usually up there with my friends and stuff. But we weren't like I was usually somewhere in the middle or bottom of the pack with it. Thus the life of support. It takes a lot to be up there. Especially because like support was one of those things that just never got felt like, at least it felt like you never got ranked importantly. It's kind of better-ish, I guess now, but still. Um, okay, yeah, I'm updating. So I do want to pull up Halo as an example as part of it, because there's like, the truth is, in like, I'm going to specifically reference Bungie Halo when I talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
And even to some extent, Halo Infinite is actually kind of better about this too than like 4. I don't remember. That game like literally just doesn't exist in my memory like it should. Um, Let me see if I have.
And what are we talking
I may
about
have.
specifically?
I wanted to just show you, but I guess I'm gonna have to preface it a bit because I have to wait for all this stuff to install, I think. Basically, the two core components are going to be, in a game like Overwatch, you need to have synergies. The character started to slowly, even during development of Overwatch 1, they started to slowly remove some of the synergy elements. But in Overwatch 2, they cut down the team size, and then they kind of like overcorrected. So where it went from like Shield Wars the game, it went from that to like everybody's kind of squishy to some extent, and everybody's a little bit in like, it's not that you can't synergize, it's just it's harder to. Like, some characters literally weren't support but had support elements, like say what's his name with the turret?
I don't know.
Torbjorn.
I'm not
Torbjorn.
super familiar with Overwatch. I only
So
played it like a handful of times. The first
so
one.
Tor so Torbjorn used to have a turret, and he still has a turret. But he also used to be able to throw out armor packs. So armor packs could immediately be something you could dish out to, say, your support, who's going to be squishy and potentially attacked. Yes, you had a bunch of shields, but the core would be, hey, tank, defend me, I need help to keep you alive, and there would be a little bit of that synergy, so that you would have this, like, you would be forced to kind of work together to some capacity, and I get that some people don't like that, but also it's a team game, so it feels like that should just be part of the game. Um, but now it feels like you can go a lot more solo, but even if you get past those elements, because you can have a good team experience in even a game like Halo, without having to have all the abilities and team synergy things. It's about how you work together. The maps don't promote much of that. You kind of just move in a ball, and then you have like flanking routes, but the flanking routes are super obvious and super consistent. Even in something like a MOBA, um, you have multiple routes between the main lanes, and you have like a whole like the whole system of areas you can go through. And I don't play like a lot of MOBAs, but yes, the routes are always going to be obvious to some extent, but you need to have a wide range of them, so this way you have more options to potentially do flanks or something else that's interesting. You have literally a flanking class, basically. It's not really called flankers, but like Tracer and some other characters that are like meant to flank around and get around, but you know where they're going to come from. It's very obvious. So it's very easy to defend against them, making them much harder to do. But it also means that now you have like a whole effective class that's not going to be useful in lower ranks because people don't know how to play the map, or to play the map you have to be like, you have to really
Okay,
know how to get those
so
like touchy jumps and those hard things to do that is fine to some extent, but also like way too much work. And once I get this
from a
update, I'll show you what
design,
I mean.
okay, but from a design perspective, what are some ways you think
So
to fix these
so
problems?
so me and you have talked about it when we've talked about levels pretty much all the time because we brought you in initially for and still for level design.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So one of the things that I've always brought up that I love about Halo is what I like to call map juggling. So basically, no matter where you're at, there is some way to get away or go around or do something in most Halo games, right?
Yeah, and
Occasionally,
a
there's
way
some
to
areas,
escape.
a way to escape, a way to flank, a way to do something. There's very few places where you are just trapped. And in Overwatch, which is finally installed, um, I can show you once it launches. I can show you. Um, I'll give me a sec, and then I'll, because like map design plays a huge role. Um, gotta go through all the all the things. Okay. Let's do play. Let's do. I think it's training, and then friends.
So yeah,
A specific map.
um,
No, hold on. I'm trying to get to where. Sorry. If you want to talk while I
no
look
worries.
at
Yeah, I
it.
was just gonna talk while you get that. So I
Okay.
think for anyone listening who's just getting into level design, I think with multiplayer, there's probably a lot more um, playtesting and variety of playtesters needed to really like nail how a level flows and works with multiple people going around doing their own thing. And then obviously single player still needs a lot of playtesting to. I mean, I guess it doesn't need it, but I guess if you really want to nail it, it does, and that's something we're kind of struggling with. We have like a QA server for our game Battle Balls, which we haven't officially announced, but we've talked about on this podcast a couple of times. And it is a multiplayer game, and there is kind of a lot going on at once. But that's something we've dealt with as small developers, trying to get people, not just getting people to test the game, but getting them all together all at once so that we can continuously test. And me being the only level designer, it's like I want to test like specific things, usually just a level, and then but it's kind of hard when the game's not fully developed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing too is with Battle Balls. It like for Coral, have a good vision of because it's built off of.
Yeah, it's based off of existing games.
Yeah.
So I've
With
even built parts of maps in like Forge, and like played around with it before I actually put it in Unreal. All right, so you want to share your screen?
yeah, I want to show a specific. Okay, so let's get the thing set up.
All right, let's get the thing set up.
Okay. So this. Why are you on that screen? Bad game.
And a shout out to my mom who's in my YouTube chat right now.
Okay, so we'll play. We'll play Tracer for now. Okay, so again, I don't know if they've done any updates to this game, but you can see Tracer has like this dash ability, and she has also when which then lets teleport you back to a certain point, which is fine. Okay, so here's the thing: you come out of here, out of your area. There's nothing. Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
wait,
You have some little
let me
hallway.
set up real quick so that this looks a little bit nicer.
Okay. You know.
And then I can actually watch. Alright, I'm not familiar with this map. Is this Overwatch 2?
Yeah, this is Overwatch 2. So this is for a game mode called Push. It's like a tug of war style thing. I think the game mode could be cool and could be fine, but the core issue is, to me, again, minus all the cohesiveness with the character stuff. So we'll ignore that for now. The level design. So if I want to play this character, so the goal is to get over to here. And the idea is you basically sit by this bot and then it'll start moving. I don't think it's going to move because I'm in a private match by myself.
Oh man, you're like
But
glitching out on my side.
am I? Can I reduce this? I guess I can go to
Maybe reduce the bitrate.
480p.
Yeah.
I don't think can you do
Oh,
that?
okay, I don't know if you can or not.
I don't see a way of doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but okay. So the idea here. So Tracer's a character you would normally call a flanker, but cool. So you come over here. The goal is now to basically push this bot. So everybody's going to charge this center point, right? That makes sense. But you'll notice if I go to the side thing, all this really does is kind of arc me here. So basically if I come from here and I go into that doorway and go here, I'm just going to come out there. It doesn't really do anything but get me to here, basically, which is cool. I get a health pack, so it's a health pack thing. There's nothing else on this side to really flank. Sure, I could kind of go there, but again, like I have to get in front of everybody. Um, and even doing that, you know, like even if I somehow manage to get through here, it's an obvious flank. So cool, I guess I could maybe go around the side. This building just stops, so there's no point in really going through this building because it'll route me through here, so I'm just making my journey more complicated. So I'll go here, where the enemy can not only see me, but it's, you know, again, it's like, okay, if I'm going to expect a flank, it's going to be obvious and I'm going to die because somebody's going to prep for it or kill me. Why even bother flanking? I might as well be the squishy character that's going to die in 2 seconds in the front line. And so now, as a lower level player, I can't take advantage of the level. I'm going to immediately get murdered, and everybody's going to call me a crappy player. Because I'm still like a low level player, so I can't do any tacticianing. Because if I wanted to take advantage of this level, sure, maybe I could do some fancy stuff and somehow get up there on these things or whatever. But like, that's going to be harder for a low level player to do if it's even possible. And it's still not very many routes even if. And so it's all about how you can like do things like make yourself a hard target, do all these like things that make you a better player. And yes, that's important, but again, if you want to make it scalable, Overwatch tries to be for like a large range of players. You're going to have that problem. And again, like I'm going to play this character expecting a certain way. So let's say I take a longer route. By the time I get over there, so let's say I went through there and I'm going through here, right? By the time I finally make it over here, probably most of my team's dead. I'm going to maybe pick off one, but they're probably going to turn around, wipe me, and I just wasted everybody's time. There's literally no way for me to fully take advantage of characters like this in this type of specific game mode because there's only really like a few flanking routes and they take more time or more skill to really take full advantage of. And so like if I wanted to stay here and fight, that's cool, but like again, that's going to be really hard to make this character kind of work, especially now that we're in a 5v5. So maybe you could take a character that could traverse a level faster, which there are a few kind of like, but they're ironically tanks, and you only really have one tank. So like Winston can maybe make a jump over there, and then that could get him to flank. But then you go over here, you're all gonna die because you don't have a tank to kind of take that brunt. So like, there's no real way to play this except for just being a ball of mass moving there and hoping you can find some way of doing something. So each game's gonna feel effectively the same, and you don't have any way of adding that variety where you could play a Halo match and almost never feel like there's like each game never feels the same because there's so many ways to play the level on top of players' skill. And that is something that players should be able to cultivate because some people are really good at planning things and taking advantage of other players to be more aggressive or do something like they'll plan around a corner and expect you to kill them or something, and I can't really do that here. It's just run down here with my team, hope I don't die, and hope I get the kill. And that means it's all about my pure skill. Again, that would be fine if Overwatch wasn't trying to target like an everybody-ish demographic, but they're making it harder, and the levels are just not built for them. And there's a theme in this in general where the levels are not generally built with this much stuff going on. All the routes to potentially do things are obvious. There's not enough chaos going on anymore to be able to like take advantage of things and do flanks. There's not enough of that happening. Where before, yeah, during the whole Shield Wars days, there was at least enough chaos that you could do things as a flanker. Where now, everybody's going to be picked off pretty quickly. You go in here, engagements are so much faster now. I can't go do something. Like, again, by the time I go around here, 2 or so of my teammates are dead. So I'm better off just charging in there with my team. And thus, this isn't really a flanker anymore. And the game doesn't officially call them a flanker, but it's how the community's already kind of thought of them for this whole time, because you can be different types of characters. There are some areas that could be okay, like if when the engagements start happening here, there are more routes and stuff, but again, they're kind of harder to deal with, or to get to, because most of these routes just take so much time to get through before you can do stuff. Give me 1 second. I'm getting a call that I don't know if you were saying anything in contrast to what I was saying, so sorry if
Oh,
it's super
my
quick.
mic was muted.
Okay. So yeah, if you said
That's
anything during
hilarious.
my
I've
whole
been
rant,
I've been trying to talk the whole time.
okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. My mic
I
is muted. That's my fault.
Alright,
That's hilarious. I was just trying to say that the late game versus like the beginning game.
Yeah.
And by that I mean like over time the robot or the objective moves throughout the map, so their level design has to take into account that happens.
Yes. And that's very important, but they could still have more routes. So even with this, again, like you can do some stuff like here, you can definitely get around. But it's one of those things where it's just like this is one of the better spots. But again, like there's no way to take advantage of that chaos anymore because you have 5 players. People just pick off, so you're really just better being near your team. And unless you have like your Q or something, which is your ultimate ability, flanking is just like why bother? Bother. This area is okay. This one's not too bad. There are some options, like you saw. I could flank around there and whatever. But if I want to get back up there, it's a whole route. So if the point is over here and you fall off the ledge, it's a lot to get back to your team. It's like basically, uh, like a death sentence to be like for your team if you fall off here, because then you have to meander back over here and get up. As far as I know, oh yeah, no wait, there's oh, okay, never mind. I forgot there's one. So this isn't bad. But yeah, it's okay. It's just that like when I'm playing it though, I'm noticing like where would I go? How would I take advantage of that? And then like if one of the players leaves, even for a second, all of a sudden our team is more open to death because their whole team's there. So if I'm playing somebody like a support, so if you look at my health, I got 150, which isn't a lot. But I'm
What about
designed to be hard to
the
hit.
time to kill?
So I don't have an example up right
Is
now. I can show
Overwatch
you.
like everyone's like very spongy?
So if you're a tank, you can see I have 600 plus I have the armor. I don't know how it calculates the armor off the top of my head. But you can see how like each character, this one's a little bit different. You got a little bit of a weaker pool, but you can get health by basically attacking people with melee or something like that. This one's used to have some team things, like she used to put down an orb thing that could heal or would give a damage buff to your team. That's no longer there. They got this thing which gives you a little bit of a shield thing. You got a spear which does a pretty decent amount of damage, and you have this which makes you harder to kill basically. Um, which is cool, but again that becomes from like team focus. So like she used to put a shield down that the team could hide behind, and then she also put down this little drum thing that could then heal like your team around you, or not heal, sorry, power up your team around you, and that was really cool. But now we have a problem. So okay, I mean you could probably get away with that from here, but now you have a problem where if you're a support character, you're gonna be like Ana has a decent pool, but you're gonna be a little bit more at a disadvantage because you're gonna be one of the weaker, squishier kind of characters, and you don't have a lot of damage output. So my goal is to heal you and somehow survive against the team. That is so much more work to be a support now than it was already, which is already a lot of work to be a support. So
Okay.
now you make one of the classes that are already less desirable, even less desirable because it is chaos. Now again, maybe they've done some fixes, but I doubt it. I doubt it's better. But you basically made it to where, and look how much slower I move in comparison to the other classes, right? I move almost at the pace of a tank, and like I don't have any way of running or going faster. So somebody runs up on me, I don't have a good escape as like at least with Ana. To be fair, she is one of the harder supports because her gun like heals and does damage, so it's all about accuracy and stuff. Um, but there are some classes like he's a little bit of a hybrid. He's got some DPS, so he can move around a little bit. And he also has like this thing which helps him get up high, which is cool. He's one of the few characters that could potentially take advantage of like weird spots on buildings and stuff. Like if I wanted to get up there without moving, I could use him to get up here. So cool, I finally have a character like that, but he's a support class and not like a DPS that could do that. Now you can get like um, Genji and whatever, but they also involve wall climbing, which takes some technical skill, and that again makes it so those types of routes are harder. So like all of the good routes involve like a certain level of skill, where there's no obvious main routes that could still be taken advantage of with a lower or medium level player. You have to be somewhat like good at certain things, and then you just will always be bad at this game. And it's not even necessarily they might not be bad at video games; it's just they'll be bad at this game because there's not a lot that promotes it. Um, and like again, like if I'm playing soldier, I just basically my goal is just mindlessly side by side shoot, heal, shoot and move, charge forward, basically like this guy, just be shooting. And again, it's just there's not a lot of options, and that's one of my core problems with this is the level should promote options. Where if I pull up, let's take
Someone in
this
our
a little
chat
bit.
says that's why she has a sniper and a tranquilizer. That's their favorite support character.
Oh, Ana's my favorite too. I love Ana. But again, it's one of those things where like now you just get jumped on and it sucks.
Mm. Okay,
They're
I
like
do want to
super
move
bland.
on from the Overwatch footage. We can
That's
still
fine.
use it as an example, but
Um,
I wanted to
but
talk
I did
about
want to
like
show.
more
Uh,
generalized,
yeah. I wanted to
like what do you think
show
about
Dota as an example since it's got a similar kind of map design to a lot of Overwatch levels. But if you want to skip on, I can skip. Or whatever. It doesn't have to be Dota. League of
Well, yeah,
Legends
we
is
can
just
still
as cool.
go there. But I kind of wanted to bring up the idea of time to kill, um,
Yeah,
and
and that's something
like
that's
Call of
very hard
Duty.
to do.
Like I like Call of Duty because it is very satisfying to instantly kill people. But as far as like making it like more of a game,
Yeah.
I prefer like Halo because it's
Yeah.
more of like a system of health. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. And
But
that's the thing is
I
you're.
also get tired of games like MOBAs like Overwatch,
Yeah.
and I haven't really played Dota that much, but
Well,
like when you have
Overwatch
like a
is.
health bar.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So time to kill should always match the game experience. I feel like Call of Duty has a pretty good like. I feel like it's very rare you hear people complain about a lot of the core gameplay elements of like Call of Duty and their map design. I feel like they figured out that sweet spot and haven't deviated too much for that type of game. Um, where I feel like Overwatch is missing certain levels of cohesiveness between the core experience because your time to kill should match the way you play. So like in Halo, there's a lot of hallways and ramps and bridges that are all larger than normal scale. Partly because your character is also larger than normal scale, but also because like there's more elements to run around and dodge and weave through. Where in Call of Duty the map's a little bit more chaotic and kind of more of like an urban combat field, basically. So with that, you have a lot more destroyed buildings, or normal setup buildings, or just like some open areas, but you tend to weave between other areas, or they're a little bit more condensed. But their target is something that's a little bit like it's like an arcadey version of like I wouldn't say a milsim, but like it's trying to emulate that kind of like
Yeah.
experience in a more arcadey
Well,
way.
yeah, and like relating to the
And
level design, the lower time to kill, like the easier it is to be killed. Those
yeah,
more open areas are more risky, but
exactly.
sometimes that can make them more fun.
Exactly. Because you have, but that's the thing is you have choice, right?
Hmm.
That's where it should come down to. In Overwatch, I don't feel like I have choice. In Halo, I feel like I have choice. And that's where like I think it all comes down to the same area, right? So, um, it should all blend together. If you should your level, the way your level's built should help keep you alive and get you the kills, just as much as the way you spec the damage to health bar, right?
Hmm.
Um, and if those don't match the way the game flows, then you're going to have frustration. The problem with, again, I keep going back to Overwatch, but the problem with Overwatch is that like everything doesn't feel like they barely balance between the characters, let alone the way that the maps are built. And then you have this problem where it just barely works and it's just kind of fun enough. And if you have that perfect synergy, you can kind of beat the other team, but it's so much work to get there. Where in a MOBA, it's like once you kind of learn how to play it, you learn how to use a level, and you have like a chance to take advantage of certain aspects, and you can do these other risky options, even if most of the game is kind of like run down the lane and do a thing, and then maybe have work with somebody. But there's also like going between the things and trying to level up your character and then maybe you could use that to do some other routes and flank around, do something or whatever. You have options to escape that lane if you need to. So even with a game like that, there are options to escape or hide, and it's weird because like that's a MOBA where the whole gameplay emphasis is going down your lane and fighting in that lane. And I feel like would have more. I feel like I have more choice there than I do something like that,
Yeah,
and that's where
and
that emphasis.
from a design perspective, you don't want the game experience to feel like unfair, and you don't want it to feel random.
Yeah,
So it's like there are times when like if you go around the corner and something like blows up and you die, like okay, that was kind of cool. But if it happens to you all the time, like you just come around the corner and instantly die all the time, it doesn't
yeah,
feel like
exactly.
there's, you know, like chess, like you can plan and strategize.
exactly, because that should just as much like if you want to run the game should build right. The game should be able to promote strategic play as a way of compensating and or enhancing your raw skill. If
Mm-hmm.
you can't have that, then you're cutting out a huge portion of what makes an FPS or any type of combat style game fun. Even in fighting games, there's a certain element of chess involved, as you were saying earlier, right? Like, even though it's not about levels, it's about how you might fake out your opponent, or maybe if you switch things up, or whatever. There's options above just pushing buttons or trying to do a X combo. You can actually try to plan a way of like okay, this guy is very aggressive, so if I play in defense, wait for that like little break point, then I can go in there and actually do my kick. There's strategy involved just as much as reaction time and other things. And it's one of those things where it's like as long as you play the game, then that skill, then your understanding of it starts to compound, and then you start to reach your kind of like true-ish potential, and then maybe you go watch things and learn how to even better that. Like going back to Halo, I remember when me and my friends were trying to do like MLG because we thought we could be that good, but
Yeah,
but we
Andrew in
ended
our
up learning.
chat, he
Yeah.
says there are so many complexities that come with questioning how long it should take to kill another player. I think COD and Halo were smart to have options for different game modes that have different time to kill values, which I think, yeah, definitely, you should have different game, what's it called, like playlists to promote
Yeah,
different play styles or preferences.
and that's actually something we've gone back and forth about a lot with our project
Yeah.
because
Well, yeah,
because
and with Coral we have different, um,
yeah.
different player types. I think we have already confirmed that there's ODSTs and Spartans, which automatically have different values.
Exactly.
Um,
Mic thing?
and we even talked about a game mode where you can play as either one, and the time to kill specifically would be very different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but there was something else. What was I gonna say? Time to kill, level design. Oh yeah, I was gonna bring up like framing. How much do you think framing changes? So in a single player example, your framing of like the level is to, depending on the game, but like in an open world, your your framing would be like, promoting exploration or promoting how to find your next objective or find this little cave off in the distance or something.
Yeah.
How do you think? Do you get what I mean by that?
I haven't heard of them framing before,
So, like,
so
basically evaluating the battlefield or exploration sandbox before you make a choice.
oh, okay. So um and then you were asking like how important it is for multiplayer experience.
Or what really changes? Like, well,
Um
from what I think,
so
I'll just say like being able to see the battlefield before you jump in multiplayer is more like, oh, do I go help my teammates over at this objective, or
yeah.
do I go on my own and get a bunch of kills over in this way or whatever? It gives you that the option to choose that, whether it's subconscious or not.
Okay. Um I would I would so I'm trying to think about how to put my thoughts into words. That is not what I want. I'm also trying to find your YouTube thing so I
Oh
can
yeah, so someone in the comments
search
did
at.
say, "Are you meaning like the way Battlefield does spawning?" And no, I don't mean spawning. I mean this framing is a visual thing. So if you're an artist, framing could just be like, I think there's another word for it, but basically like the the dynamic of things, how things visually look to promote you to make your eyeballs go one way or another.
Yeah. Okay. Now I can also read the chat with you so I can keep up with that too. Um, uh, but yeah, so basically, uh, obviously for each game is gonna be different. So like Call of Duty in some of their newer modes, where they started to do more like a Tarkov style thing and then a battle royale. With those, obviously knowing what's going on that map is a lot more important. So you have a lot more moments of evaluating that battlefield, and the battlefield's also way more open in those scenarios as well. Where when you're in a normal kind of multiplayer experience, it's a little bit more tight.
Mm-hmm.
You want to at least be able to get a general sense of where things are going. So if I'm like, so if I see a doorway and there's a building, I would expect that doorway to probably lead me up the building, not go down it, right? So it should be more semi-assumptive, and you shouldn't have too many things that catch you off guard. But it should be those things where it's like, as long as the things you're looking at are kind of obvious, then you can find your way through them. Depending on how tight you're making the level, you might not be able to evaluate the whole entire map. But that doesn't mean you can't have both. You just might have to have some areas that are a little bit harder to navigate without having been through them before, and some areas that are just like obvious. So and it always goes back to Halo whenever we all tend to have
It's
these
got to.
discussions.
I think I've brought up
I know,
Halo every single episode of Sperdunky and
yeah.
Friends so far.
But like Halo is another. You know what? I'm installing MCC now. I thought I had it installed, but I guess I didn't.
The whole thing?
Which is it's not letting me choose, so I guess so. Yeah, because I'm not seeing.
Yeah, I personally I love the maps from Halo 1 and 2 probably the most, just because there's like this like simplicity to the level design.
Yeah, I like. Let's stop this installation. I should have these on standby either way because they're good reference. But I'm thinking of going straight to the one that everybody tends to love, which is Halo 3. Which for some reason is just telling me I can play.
I also, this might be controversial, I love Halo 5's version of they call it Truth and Regret on that one. I can't remember. Midship. I actually really like the way they interpreted Midship in Halo 5.
I'll have to look at it.
Because they have two versions. One is Regret, which is like a crash version, and the layout's like slightly different.
Yeah.
And then the other one that's called Truth is more true to the Midship original.
Yeah. That might be why they call it that.
Probably.
Yeah. So like, damn it! I wish I had this installed now. So actually, can I just? Wow.
Are we friends on Xbox? Let's see. Sorry, I don't mean to. So, level design. Let's see.
I'm trying to get. I thought I could. Am I not fast track from? No. Okay. So I might just do it through that. I'll have delay faster than dealing with installing everything. And then I can just do that.
A lot of people love High Ground from Halo 3. It's like a asymmetrical map.
Yeah. Grab my controller and then will whatever.
I'm looking at the Halo Reach maps right now. See if any stand out to me.
Cause like, I mean, like you could really pick any of them. I feel like Halo Reach and where it kind of more or less peaked in there in Bungie's Halo level design at least. Cause like I feel like they just took advantage of what was going to be in the game. So in Halo Reach you have a little bit more open verticality, and that's because they started introducing things like jetpacks, and some of the levels also had longer open stretches, and that's because you had the sprint. But in Halo 3 things can be a little more condensed, and the openness usually meant there was a vehicle that you could use. and that was because you didn't have those things.
Yeah.
So,
I think the grav lift is an underrated piece of equipment in Halo 3.
yeah,
I absolutely love having a grav lift and just being able to boost yourself up like a jetpack. It's like a disposable jetpack.
yeah,
And then also, I think being able to fly around the map, I think that should be in every shooter in some form, like with vehicles or something.
yeah. I think unless you're doing like a really tight close quarters type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
I think you should be able to have. I think vehicle combat. That's actually one of the reasons that I know a lot of people don't want, um, like whatever it's called. Mind.
People don't do what
Sorry.
now?
I got distracted. I think it's one of the reasons that okay. Basically, I was gonna say, even though a lot of people don't like the idea of it, I think I like the idea of a battle royale in Halo because the vehicle
Because of the
combat
vehicle
is
combat.
exactly. Because like one of the big things that sucks about battle royales is usually the driving and getting around the map, and that's something that I think Fortnite's also done a good job of making more fun. Because if you play any other thing, the vehicles are the most like one of the more annoying parts of a battle royale. Um, and I don't want to search for anything. Back out of this. Leave me
So here
alone.
I am in
Go away.
the Halo Reach's remake of Headlong.
Yeah.
I just got an achievement. Hijack a Banshee during the Reach campaign. I'm not even playing the campaign. I must have done that a while ago.
Yeah, I don't see you in my friends list.
It's called Sperdunky. Ever heard of it?
Yeah.
Oh,
A one and
super set. Look at that.
Alright, so yeah.
Added as a friend. And anyone watching can add me as a friend or just follow me on Xbox. Because we might do some game nights or something. We'll have to at some point.
Alright, I'll join you now. I'm probably gonna have.
Oh, I just tried to join you.
Oh, well, I'm literally just in the menu.
Oh,
I mean,
that
I
works.
guess, but that's fine. Multiplayer. I guess we could do. That doesn't really matter. Let's do custom multiplayer, I guess, right? And then we want to do a reach.
Yeah, do whatever,
And
dude.
then, let's see.
What's the best map?
We could do that one's fun.
That one's interesting. They have the low gravity zone. Is that the one? It's like midship, but you can go out of the
Yeah.
ship.
Player, I guess. Sure, whatever, doesn't matter.
If you're watching, go ahead and leave a like on the video. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and see what happens.
Speaking of unsubscribe.
I guess this is the part of the show where it unravels and we just play video games. But we're exploring level design, so it's educational.
Exactly. Probably should have forged. Yeah, that's fine. I'll probably do jetpack
1v1.
so I can have some level fire.
Oh
Dude,
yeah,
there's no way.
I forgot about
Bro.
the original DMR.
So right now I am not only playing with controller and I haven't played a shooter's controller in a while, but also I am playing with, through the cloud. So there's no way I'm doing a 1v1 right now.
What's up, guys?
I feel like that was such a waste. Oh, you picked one too. I forgot how to activate it.
The jetpack's the best, dude. I'm gonna go to the zero gravity zone.
Yeah. Oh, I have it as X. Okay. So yeah. I forgot where the fuck it was. It was up top, right?
Yeah.
They're like one of these
I
guns.
when they introduced these types of guns, like the plasma caster, I absolutely
Yeah.
hate these guns, and I don't get them at all.
Yeah. One is like here. Yeah, I remember. I remember now.
It kind of seems like you don't remember.
But I just got here and you're gone. Gosh. Oh my
What's up,
gosh. Okay.
guys? Yes, well,
All
man,
right.
just
So,
got here, and I'm gone.
woohoo! You son of a bitch. All right. So, oh mother. Listen, bro.
I hate the
Oh
plasma
my
caster.
god.
Go ahead and use it.
Bro, I literally can't even I can't even aim at you because like by the time I get a lock, you're already in a different spot. Bro, and I'm playing at like 5 FPS now. Cool, cool. You know what? Just put it this way: if you lose to me in when I'm playing on the cloud streaming,
I don't think I will.
I don't think so.
I was just messing with you, expecting you to kill me, but it didn't work.
Yeah, like I can't even. Um. Okay, so let's just pick any spot because that's the benefit of this thing. So right here, where I'm at, are you next to me? Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's already 3 directions if you're coming in from here.
Mm-hmm.
You can either backtrack, go here, or go here.
Or even
Or
jump
alternatively,
down.
you could jump down on
Yeah.
either side, and now you have multiple directions here. In this open area, I could jump through here.
Yeah.
I could go
There's
through
lifts
here.
in every direction from right here.
Yeah, and I think in the Halo, or wasn't there another Halo variant that was like this map that had something like a hole here or something? Maybe I'm remembering. I'm remembering something. Was it this map? I think it was this map because there's like a thing in there.
Yeah, it's this map. No
Okay.
other version of the midship maps has a
Yeah.
hole in the middle.
Yeah, I think
But there's a way to get
like,
down there.
yeah, because I remember being down there.
Yeah, if you come over here, there's
Oh
an
yeah,
opening,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it comes down.
Somebody who loves Halo so much, it has actually been a bit since I played Halo.
Yeah, I still play
yeah.
Infinite every once in a while.
Yeah.
Apparently, people are really liking the new update. I don't think it's out yet, but like the pro players have been playing it.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't played it. But you can even see like when there is open spaces, there's like even right here, where it's like this was like a long hallway. There's some kind of cover-ish point here. There's a kind of cover-ish point here. You know, like, and then there's options, and even this long hallway, it's not very long. Like for Halo, it's a long hallway, right? This isn't that long of a hallway. So like, I'm not trapped. I'm not just gonna die in here. I mean, I might, but like,
you definitely will.
It's your own fault. It's not because you just got caught in this long hallway and have no way out. It's because you're just like, I made a mistake. I planned improperly, right? Or I couldn't, you know, break that skill gap. And so like that's the thing is like no matter what, over where you're at, there's some way out. That's why I call it like map joke. Because like I could jump off here and immediately have another route. Because there's a route right here. I'm not just like I didn't just jump off to escape and then just die somewhere else. So it's like I jumped off to escape and I actually had a way to escape. And now from the bottom, I'm already on the top. Like that's something that just doesn't happen in a lot of games.
Yeah, and in Halo in particular, they purposely try to make it to where there's never like a spot where you're just trapped.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's where and that's why when I was going to make a comparison, yeah, I will definitely say that one thing that comes to mind for especially the push map is the objective is to keep you on that path. But I think you as a team know that, so having more options to flank around and do things, and things that like how this game works, right? I think you could totally have a lot more fun with the map design in something like Overwatch, and be able to have it be like, you know, just better experience. And I think that would solve a large portion of some of the like the perceived issue with players, because I think a lot of times it's just that they don't have a way of. I thought I was going to go up this lift. I didn't go up this lift.
I blocked you. And then let's talk about this.
I don't have bumper. Yeah, damn. I don't have my control scheme up. It changed it for some reason.
Wow, I can't believe you do that. Also, if you look at my screen, it like mirrors it. There's something kind of cool having the gun on the left side It doesn't.
Up on Discord it looks normal.
It does. For me, it's reversed.
Oh yeah, it's reversed on YouTube.
Yeah.
Though. But on this, but it's okay. You know, you're upside down also, so that.
Classic. Yeah, it's like it's different. It's like weirdly refreshing to have things on the left side.
Yeah. Okay, so now.
You should be able to choose whether you're left-handed or right-handed.
Yeah, some games do that, and I actually like that. We'll have to never do that in our games. Ugh. No. I might have to actually install Halo.
I believe in you.
I now have my controls all messed up.
Is there a shotgun on this map?
I think it's just a sword.
Yeah. It probably spawns where the sword is. Also, I missed the original plasma rifle. I wish they would bring that back.
Yeah.
The plasma repeater's okay. What I like about the Halo CE plasma rifle is it actually has the slowdown effect. It like slightly stuns you.
Yeah.
And it makes it a little more creative of a weapon. I personally like things like that, like your weapon has more than one use.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
I loved when the plasma pistol was given the EMP ability. I don't know, I think there's something really cool about that. How do I crouch? I don't know what button is crouch right now. Oh, I have to be still, I guess? No!
Aha, I keep trying to reload and then put it to freaking bumper jumper. That's what I used to play. B is reload, okay.
Alright, well I guess no one else was ever going to show up for the stream, which is fine, but...
It's okay.
I do have to get off, because I have to go do a pick-up order for some groceries in a little bit. But it's been great talking to you.
Yeah.
Welcome back anytime, of course.
Maybe next time we can go into some other stuff involving some things with like team play and stuff if we want to go into that, and we can use our Halo/Overwatch example, and I can kind of show how I feel like there's more synergy in Halo than there is Overwatch. Overwatch has literal team abilities.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
We can go into whatever.
You can go into whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, let's put up your. Yeah. You're supposed to be like the guest bonus host today, but really you were kind of just the guest. Bonus host.
Bonus ghost.
Exactly.
No, I didn't. No.
But yeah. So, anyone new to game development, just a good place to start is look at some of your favorite games as far as the genre you're trying to make. And the classics don't hurt, you know. Oh no! Oh, the stream didn't even see that. But yeah, any last words before we sign off?
Not that I can think of. Yeah, just like what you said. Just break them apart. Do your best to dissect why you're having so much fun, in what areas you're having fun. Because once you figure it out, you'll start to see like the magic of what actually goes on. I don't know how I threw a grenade, but all right. um, but yeah,
Yeah, a bottom laying principle should be your level design should promote what's fun about the gameplay, and
everything should have to do with everything when you're building a
yeah,
game.
exactly. Everything should have to do with everything.
So like if you're designing, if you have a certain time to kill, make sure your levels promote that time to kill. If you have a certain way your character moves, like for example in Halo, you're big, tall, hulking Spartan. So what feels like a short hallway to you might not feel like a short hallway in a normal game, but the levels are usually built in that way to be kind of like they're kind of big, but you still feel like you move around them quickly, and that just shows how the game's built around. Again, everything has to do with everything. So yeah.
Okay, for some reason my mouse has not shown up on the screen, so let's see here. Alright, I was able to click on some things. So, where can people find you if they want to learn more about Battle Balls or Coral Wave?
So, right now, if you want to figure out more about Battle Balls, you should be following you for Dunkalunk over here.
True.
And then you can kind of follow me, but I'm bad about keeping up my social media presence because I get too focused on the other things. And I'm like, it's not that I have anything against social media, it's that if I have ADHD, man, social media will just absorb me. But I do try to be on there a little bit. So you can follow me through my Twitter and my YouTube. I do more on my YouTube stuff. That's usually just whatever small little dumb thing I feel like doing at the moment. Eventually, I'll probably start taking things more serious on YouTube. But for now, it's like
Yeah, and I will say there is a Battle Balls Twitter that's not active right now, but it's going to become active pretty soon. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And I think it's just Battle Balls Dev. Is that what it is?
I believe so. I believe that's what we have set up. We also, you can also follow Nate. We have Jabob's thing. He's also gonna promote it.
Yeah, I think it's official Jabobs. We showed it on the last stream, so.
Okay. And then that's if you want to keep up with that. And then aside from that, I've probably been more active here than anything else I've done. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining me as my guest / bonus host.
Yeah. The bonus ghost.
To all the indie game devs out there who stumble upon this epic Sperdunky and Friends stream, thank you guys so much for joining. The people in the chat, super cool, super awesome. And going forward, I do want to announce we're basically going to do like 2 different types of streams from now on. Ones where we make games, and then ones that are more podcast oriented, like this one. So usually I'll have a guest and I'll show off what game they're working on. And then, so the way we're going to categorize that is Sperdunky and Friends Indie Game Devs is the podcast, and then Sperdunky and Friends Make Games will be me and usually Cybernetic Druid, maybe one other person, just kind of hanging out while we work on something, like the meatball game that we did. Oh, and actually I can kind of show the progress of where that is right now. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. Right now you're seeing black, but everything's okay. Let's see. I'll switch back to that while it's loading. I'm opening up a project. It's taking a little bit longer. So yeah, the in episodes, I believe 5 and 6 is Cosmic Meatball Part 1 and Part 2, where we are making a Flappy Bird clone, but then we're going to do a little twist, and we'll reveal that later. But for now, oh, it's showing Andre's name. I should probably turn that off. He's not here. Free promotion. Yeah, he does live streams of his game every once in a while, where he's like showing off parts that he's developing.
Yeah.
And his game looks pretty cool. It's the gameplay similar to like Far Cry, but it's set in like a post-apocalyptic zombie world.
Oh yeah, you were mentioning some of that.
And then, okay, now I can show my screen. Okay, so the meatball game. Here's what OBS looks like. Alright, let me know if you guys can see this. This is where we're at right now. I have animating forks to try to stab you, and you're a meatball. And that's pretty much it. It's a little chaotic. I mean, it's kind of easy right now. I made the collisions probably a little too small. But right now, all it does is just start over when you get killed. So we showed the process of how we got started with this during episode 5 of Sperdunky and Friends. So check it out. This has been... Oh, wait, what are you going to say?
He was asking a question.
Oh, is he? Pretty soon. So with Meatball, or the Cosmic Meatball game, it's going to be a part of a series of games that we make that are just small. And those will be... They'll at least be on itch.io to start off, and then maybe mobile. It'll probably be like a Sperdunky and Friends app, which just has different games on it. But that's only for the small games. And then Battle Balls, once we announce that, I think we're probably going to have like more testers, probably.
Yeah, our plan is to release on pretty much anything that people mainly play. So PC, PlayStation, Xbox, whatever. Our target for start is obviously going to be primarily PC because it's easiest to develop and test on, but we do eventually want to start moving to the other consoles. But first we got to get through a few phases. Once we kind of become more public, more of that information will be available.
And then I have a little game called Demoto Legends that I'm working on. I'm going to put out a demo for that after I kind of reveal a little bit more about it. So stay tuned for that. And that's that. This has been Sperdunky and Friends. I'm Sperdunky. This is my friend Tori, who joined me today in the Game Devs podcast. I got a thing floating in the middle of the screen right now. But yeah, you'll be able to listen to the podcast version of this, which is a little edited down on anywhere you listen to podcasts. Check us out. Peace out, guys. All right, thank you for joining. I think you did, actually. Maybe not. Anyways, thank you for joining. I gotta go. Yeah, I just let it play for a second, just for cinematic purposes. All right, GG's. Thank you for joining, Andrew. I call him Andy, but Andrew for sure. Peace out.